Well, hello, good evening. It's a GMP TV special with me, Carl Munson. Fabrizio and Ian will be with us in just a moment. The webinar this evening is our favourite Lisbon, Live, Buy and Love Life in Portugal's fabulous capital. And we'll be making a journey with Fabrizio and Ian from the past into the present and into the future and finding out why they are parting ways with their beautiful apartment in Lisbon. It's such a beautiful place. I find it very difficult to understand why they would want to leave, but all will be revealed later on. We will be looking at the beginning, their arrival here in Portugal, which I believe was around 6 years ago. And we'll be looking at how they discovered the area that they now live in, where their apartment is, what it's like to be there today, what's going on for them at the moment. And we'll take a look at the property itself, of course. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. They're there this evening, it's the actual backdrop for this evening's webinar and conversation with them. And of course, as I say, the next chapter, where are they going next? All will be revealed in the next half hour or so. And in the following half hour thereafter, you'll have a chance to answer questions. If you do have any questions in the meantime, and thank you for being here tonight, pop them in the comments and I'll make sure they get to Fabrizio and Ian. So without further ado, let's bring them to the screen and see how they are and see how they've enjoyed this autumnal day here in Portugal. Good evening to you.
Hey, good evening. Hello there. How are you?
We don't appear to have any sound at the moment. I wonder if you could just give me a little bit of a boa noite from the capital.
Boa noite.
This is embarrassing when this happens because we sound checked earlier on, and now we don't have sound. So let's just try that one more time. Good evening to you. Boa noite, Lisbon.
Boa noite, Carl.
Oh, there you go. Lovely to see you.
Hey.
Thank you for being here this evening. How's it going? How's your day been?
It's very good. Windy, but good.
Windy but good. Okay, right. Yes, actually, there are some strong winds, and it's not helped with the fire situation, is it, around the country?
No, not at all.
Bomberos are all over it, thankfully. We have people watching us this evening, so let us know where you are and what brings you here this evening and where you are in the world. And we're keen to get underway, see the beautiful apartment that you have, and find out your backstory and ultimately where you're going. And what's happening in the future for you. I mean, we've been talking to each other. I think we've known each other for a few years now. Project Lisboeta is how we first met. And that's kind of connected, isn't it? If you could begin with a sort of little mini pen portrait of who you are and what you are before we get going into the specifics of coming to Portugal and the apartment itself.
Yeah. Well, we are I'm Italian. Ian is English. We are both ex-Londoners. Well, we've been for quite a few years. And we have had for a few years now a business that we look after, and we arrange a few apartment deals, or we help people moving to Portugal if they wish to, and we assist them with some connection in terms of legal assistance and property scouting. So we had a little business that is started from the time of confinamento, I suppose, when we were all forced to be at home and not be able to travel anywhere. Right. And here we are. We moved, but we did move here 6 years ago. Pretty
much.
It will be, we'll be 6 years next week.
It's true.
Next week, no, in 2 days.
In 2 days' time.
In 2 days' time.
And I imagine you'll be noting the occasion with a little bit of a celebration on your doorstep, a thriving part of Lisbon, a bustling part, and having maybe a glass of wine or two on your doorstep there. Fabrizio, thank you. From Italy then. A little bit confusing on the screen there because we've got Fabrizio and Ian. Actually, Fabrizio.
We tried to, with our incredible knowledge about all this stuff, to flip the image in the other way around, but it didn't work.
Not a problem. We'll keep people on their toes for the webinar tonight. Ian, you're from the UK, aren't you, Ian?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so originally a Belgian, but I'll try to lose the accent, and I lived most of my life in London, and then finally, left 6 years ago.
Wow. Okay. So we'll get into the whole story and the adventure with the apartment and your life here in Lisbon and in Portugal. Just to let Ubi know, this is live as we speak now, and you're not the only one in the chat cave. You're the only one on YouTube at the moment. We have webinar guests Aurelian from Belgium, but moved to Lisboa 4 years ago. So thank you for being here. And Agrippina as well. Great name. Hi from Portugal as well, Agrippina Ramalho. So thank you for being here. No, you're not the only one tonight, Ubi. And there are others who haven't shared who or where they are. So if you'd like to do that, feel free. And if you have any questions, pop them into the comments. So over to you. I think you've got a nice little slideshow for us tonight, haven't you?
Yeah, we've got a few little bits for you. Yeah. So, well, we thought actually we'd start by sort of, because just going through kind of where we came from and how we ended up here realistically, and what happened in the very beginning, because that's one thing that our business tended to spot. You know, we sort of came in with this idea. And as Fabrizio said, literally 6 years ago, we were packing about 5 cardboard boxes, which were going to be sent to an Airbnb, which we were going to arrive in 2 days' time. And we'd sold everything in London, except the house hadn't quite gone through. But we were still leaving anyway. We decided that was the date, on the 13th of September.
It was a hard stop.
It was a hard stop. We kind of said, it's now or never. We're close enough. It'll never happen otherwise. So, you know, we'll do it. And so I guess that the very beginning was, what I remember actually was driving in a taxi, because we had an Airbnb in Grassa, and driving a taxi from the airport down to the Airbnb, and both of us being there thinking, that was the first moment like,
this could be the best idea we've ever had, or
this could be the worst.
Yes. Yeah.
And of course, you get to that thing, and then we arrive there, and then I guess it's the first point when, after you've been there for a day, you're in that, because we had this very, very small Airbnb in Grassa. It's the first time you ever think, what am I? It's not what am I doing here, but it's like, I really don't know how this place functions. It's kind of, we weren't even sure where the nearest decent kind of supermarket were. You know, there's a few like little supermarkets, things like that. We were really trying to get together.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the next step is then, you know, okay, so we're now here, we're now homeless. We have an Airbnb, which we booked like last minute for like 6 weeks. And because that was the only one we could find, and then, you know, we were trying to sort of roll them, so we ended up in 3 different Airbnbs. We kind of thought at first, because we'd visited Grassa quite a lot, that might be the area for us. And then as we stayed there a little bit, we were not quite as sure if that was going to be the area for us. You know, so that was when sort of the effects, I guess, of where we are at the moment. You know, saying, oh, you know, okay, we wanted to be in Lisbon, as in the Conselho of Lisbon. We didn't want to be outside of that. But you then start to realize when you're sitting there, firstly, just how different all the areas really are, because it's much smaller than a city like London, but it's equally as different in all those areas. So that's the first thing you come across. And of course, the second thing then you start to realize is that actually it's smaller than you think, and it's easy to get from A to B. And once we started to visit the places where everybody spoke about, which is obviously the Baixa, Chiado,
Príncipe Real, and this is all places that we happen to leave, because we searched an apartment for such a long time that we had to move from a place to another one. Still the same 6 boxes, but they go into a taxi, so it's not a massive, wasn't a massive trauma. But Príncipe Real, and then Estrella, and then we were in Grassa for a bit, and then we started to see how those areas function also, and the difference between all of them, and how much you can have Lisbon that is really real, and a Lisbon that it could be more bourgeois, and one that could be more streetwise, and one that could be just very touristy, and one that, you know, we just started to understand a little bit.
And they are very diverse, as you say. It's like Portugal as a whole, isn't it? There's a Portuguese soul, and it's represented and manifests in different ways. And the capital city is like that as well, isn't it? You know, you're in Lisbon, but there are the differences, sometimes distinct differences between the neighborhoods and those districts.
Very much so. Very much so. Yeah. And so I think that was when we started, and that was kind of how we stumbled across this, really, because Fabrizio did the initial scouting, and you worked with an estate agent who helped quite a lot.
Yeah. Also, because we at that time we did not speak any Portuguese.
No.
Right.
Not a problem in Lisbon, because you see that a lot of people do speak English, but a lot of people does not English. So it's fine. I mean, this is Portugal. Not everybody should speak English. So we were in that kind of situation, but someone helped us to ease the way through to find place. So I did work very closely with someone that I trusted, which was an agent, and actually a team. It was a pair of agents that worked together. It proved to be an incredible help for us anyway.
Yeah.
But I took this as a job, so I didn't do anything for like the first
Probably a couple of months, 2.5 months,
2.5 to 3 months, doing that every day, seeing property after property after property.
And Fabrizio went everywhere.
I went everywhere.
How was that? In the beginning, presumably that's quite exciting. But
Yeah.
if it begins to feel like a job, how did you bear up under that daily?
I went to see places during the day, and I then went home, sometimes with a headache, and then sometimes went out in the afternoon to see a few more. And then the time that I wasn't doing that, I was scouting around, preparing a list of what I liked, sending them to the agent, for the agents to take appointment for me, and for me to have a look, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then after that, probably have a beer or two, just because the day was a bit.
I'm sure. So you've really done your homework as far as the city goes, and we're beginning at this point, aren't we, to narrow down. You know the areas, or you have a sense of them from looking around and scouting, but we're beginning to narrow it down a little bit, presumably.
Yeah,
exactly. And I think from those two things of realizing sort of just the size of Lisbon, which is not that big, and also as we went around the different areas, that's actually when we kind of threw our net much wider than just the typical areas that people want to find. So then we started exploring more, and we understood how to use a bus. Those things that when you first come, you think, oh, metro or walk, and then you realize actually a great bus network, and
and you get to see more, don't you? If you take the bus, you're going to see more of the city, obviously.
Exactly. And as you go through a place, you think, oh, actually, we should maybe have a look around here and have a look around there. And I guess so then we potentially found, I think, 2 or 3 properties that we liked. But as we kind of, moved a bit out of that,
we also started to challenge ourselves a little bit more.
Yeah,
because we come from a part of London which we find incredibly enchanting, and it was our own reality and our whole fun ground and happy ground and battleground at times, which was the south of London. We live between Stockwell, Vauxhall, Brixton, that kind of areas there, and which are incredibly beautiful, incredibly historical, incredibly valuable, and so rich of culture and diversity, but they're not the picture. It's not the picture perfect Mayfair neighborhood, I'd say.
And also, we should say, a very good connection to Portugal. Stockwell is sometimes, or parts of it are known as Little Portugal, aren't they?
Yeah,
that's right.
And we actually lived almost on the South Lambeth Road.
Did you?
Pretty much Little Portugal.
Very good. So the signs were there.
The stars were starting to align us.
Yeah, that's right.
So tell me what your shortlist was then. I mean, at this point, and what a job, job, to be doing this and to be having I'm sure at times a wonderful time of discovering Lisbon, and then other times thinking, are we ever going to find the place that feels right? Where are you? Have you got a shortlist by this stage?
We kind of knew what we didn't want.
Yeah.
We found a couple actually that we quite liked, but then a couple of them were still in redevelopment. And nobody was quite sure when it was going to finish. And obviously at that point, you then started to realize we did have a deadline because we couldn't keep on living in Airbnbs for 6 months, 7 months. It was obviously become too expensive to keep on living like that sort of rate. And I think that's probably why this one ended up on it. And Fabrizio was really excited by this, and then he rang me up and said, "Come and see this apartment." I dropped everything because I was still working a bit with the company in the UK, so I kind of dropped everything and came to see it. And that was then the chosen one, and obviously the area kind of went with it. And
Okay,
ironically, it sort of came back to where we were because Grassa was always the original idea.
Yeah.
And of course, we're not in Grassa, but we're no more than 20 minutes walk or so away from it. So actually,
it's funny how that works, isn't it? How you can like return to the scene of the crime, or your original pick in choice, but you have to go through the you have to circle it, don't you, to make sure or confirm it. Process of elimination to make sure it's absolutely the right sort of place to be.
Right.
So your instincts were, it sounded like they were pretty good, and you've ended up not a million miles away from your first sort of choices and first bits of research.
And we also came to somewhere that it somehow have something that is quite familiar to us. Because I spoke to you about diversity, I spoke to you about being an area which is urban. I mean, and like the south of London is really, 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 really London. This is really, really Lisbon. I mean, there's Portuguese spoke everywhere. Shop owners will know us and all the story. But same again, I don't remember how many the different ethnic groups live in the Concelho of Arroios, but it was
a lot.
It was a quite considerable number. So it felt comfortable. It felt like a home. It felt like we come from different cultures. There is not the Portuguese one too. We felt the dynamic was good, and we felt in a snapshot of the world. Sorry, just about that. So that's why
I thought you were getting emotional for a minute there about the place.
I suppose, yeah. No, because suddenly from a moment to another one, we felt at ease.
Yeah,
very good. Okay, so there it is. That's the chosen area, Arroios, which I think I called you in the description. I think of the webinar, property and real estate visionaries, because it's still not widely known to people. And you found quite the gem there, I think, in Arroios. And you mentioned a few places, Estrela, going into the Baixo and looking at the places that people will be familiar with, but they might not be familiar with Arroios. But I think they will have resonated a lot with how you're describing it and the character of the place. So can we put this on the map? Literally, have you got some slides there? I think we've got a few images, haven't we, that we can pop on the screen, and you can locate it for us within the bigger picture of Lisbon. While you're doing that, Nubianet's joining us at a time that it's useful to join us if you live in California. So thanks for being here tonight, Nubianet, and Bruno as well. Hello, really wanted to stay, but my daughter is full power mode and it's impossible. Hope I can watch later. You certainly can. This will be available to watch again on replay. And thank you for your comments, Ubi. We'll come back to Portuguese medicine. And I think some people will want to know the name of your doctor who recommends that you have red wine as part of your health regime, which sounds pretty awesome. So we'll come back to those comments a little bit later. That was going fairly well there, Fabrizio and Ian. I saw something in the background.
I thought I shared the wrong thing.
No, I saw the images, but if you can pop your slideshow function up and then choose that as your shared screen, that'll be great.
I thought that's what I done
as well. So yeah, Bruno, definitely you can see this later, and hope things calm down at home for you. And yeah, here we go. We're looking at we're literally putting it on the map now, aren't we?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's proper central.
Yes. Yeah, so if you look, it's quite a big concelho, big freguesia. And if you see Santa Maria Maggiore, São Vicente, Misericórdia is where all the main, I would say, attractions are. So it's the Shadow, the Baixa, is all this. For who doesn't know Lisbon, that's more or less where all the more familiar sites there will be. And then I will say the Arroios start from somewhere around the Intendente, I suppose, and it goes up to here, which is almost by the Alameda.
Yes,
which is around here, and that's pretty much his location, really.
Well, and to give people a little bit more some compass reference points, the furthest over to the left, to the west is Belém, And over to the right in the north is Parc des Nações, which a lot of people will have been to, of course, because of all the wonderful infrastructure and attractions over there. And just down a little bit.
We usually cycle to Marvila, which is quite close, which is I will say is quite hip now, newly developed between Beato and Marvila. There's a lot of warehouses that have been converted into art space and restaurants. It reminds us, it's a bit kind of a South Bank in London, and then Peña da França is the side next to it, which San Vicente is where Alfama will be. Peña da França just next to it. And that kind of stuff. Yeah,
very good. Alfama and Beato, the very trendy Beato as well, just to your east as well. Fantastic. Okay, and I think. Friends of Motion here tonight as well. Yes, maps, please. Always hard to figure out how it's spelled. I put the spelling on, and good evening to you. Yes, because it's not an easy one to spell. Or to say
it's one of the easiest.
Love this topic. Just came back from magical Marval. Marval is beautiful.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, on the border near Spain. Great. Okay, so yes, onward then. I think we're drilling down even further, aren't we? Yes.
Yeah. So if I zone into the map that we're talking about, that's where we are.
Right.
So the Alameda is a very large green space where there's a very famous fountain here, which is called the Aqua Livres. Yeah. No. Well, whatever. Yeah, it's famous. And we are very close to the Mercado de Arroyos.
Yes.
In this area here.
Very nice.
As you see, there's Stefania and Saldana, which I think a lot of people might be familiar with. So our apartment is located just about here.
Very handy for the market then. So you can wander down to the market, get your fresh produce of a morning.
Yeah, and we are very close to we're across the road from the metro station of Arroyos.
Very good. Yeah. Okay.
Should I go ahead? We live in this this building.
Excellent. So
we live on the 4th floor. So the one that you can see are our windows. Those one here, and is a building originally from the end of the 20. It's very hard to date buildings in Lisbon because everything was registered in 1951 by the Câmara Municipal de Lisboa. So everything out of 1951 is going to register of dates of building, but we know that it's around the end of 1920s to the 1930s. It's got very strong Art Nouveau details, and looking into the ironwork and the frame of the windows and all the other stuff. The building was nevertheless completely refurbished on the back. So and many times in Lisbon, they will leave a facade. They will reconstruct all the rest. This is what happened to a building in 2010.
Okay.
Now we can see that this was a quite old building because it's here, and the road doesn't look like this anymore. There's no longer a tram line. Shame. It would be amazing, but there isn't. But you can no longer park the car in the middle of the road, which is cool. And the building is just this one here.
Yeah.
And I think this photograph is from the end of the 30s. And this, I think, is the early 50s. And the building is this one here.
How lovely. You must have been delighted to find these photographs.
Yes. There's actually a database of Lisboa Antiga, it's called, for anybody that wants to Google around. And it will have everything divided by areas. And so, a nice tip for the winter evening Googling.
Superb.
And so as I say, there's a lot of detail that shows the time of the building. There's the ironwork. There's an interior bit. There's all the ironwork, which has been, as I said to you, restored and redone in 2010.
And very nice.
There is a staircase, but nevertheless, it's on the 4th floor, and there's an elevator in the building because we are young, but we're not that young. So, an elevator one important thing for us to have, and the apartment does have one.
That will be a big question for people, I think. And here we are. We've stepped in, and I don't know where to look. I honestly don't know where to look. Your beautifully tasteful design, or out of the window across the Lisbon skyline. It's absolutely beautiful.
So that is the road where we are on, which is the Moraes Soares. And this is our apartment. It's got our apartment is 145 square meter, and is registered as a T4. That means that it's got 4 bedroom, but we don't have we haven't set it up as a 4 bedroom. We have our own bedroom, and we have a guest bedroom when people come to visit, and it has 2 bathrooms, a dining room, a balcony, and this is our main lounge. Let's say we sit down here, we watch television, or we drink at times, and at times we do webinars. And we do webinars.
As we can see. I mean, that's what we're seeing behind you right there, isn't it? That's
exactly. All the windows are new, but you can see there's details, and I'll just take you around, and that's looking to the other side, so the other perspective. That's where we're sitting right now. And yes, so there's the overall in all the building. We like the fact that it's been completely restored, but details of the original structure, like the solid wood beams on the floor, and the ceiling molding, and the wall moldings that are being kept and sometimes restored.
Right. So I get the gist that the outside was restored to in quite a big scale, and quite the amazing piece of work outside. Has the refurb within the apartment been done by you, or was that the same refurbishment?
Not when we come in.
Yeah. So I think this all dates from the 2010 refurbishment.
Yeah,
exactly.
We changed the bathroom. We changed one of the 2 bathrooms because we had a very decadent bathtub with lion feet, and we shower.
Right.
We don't live in bed. Yeah. Right. We don't live in that sort of May West fantasy, so we don't.
Modern European style now.
Right. Yeah, that's it, practical. Yeah. So that's the other view into there. There's a front view of the same room.
Yeah.
And we have by the entrance. So in this direction here, there's the entrance. There's a door of the apartment. We have I will say what they call it in the UK. They call it a boot room, or something where you can leave your shoe. We leave our shoes. We have we have a small, how would you say, wardrobe. Yeah. And
closet.
A closet. That's it. Cloakroom. Yeah. There's a corridor which all the rooms are separated between either side or the other one. Very rare for a Lisbon apartment. After seeing few of them, and that every room and every space will have at least 1 window.
Oh, that's unusual. Yes. Yeah. Very good.
There's 2 things in the middle of the building, which are called saguão, which allow light to come in and out. So they're internal courtyards, and every room allows every space to have a window, either on the street or in this internal.
That's some lovely design, isn't it? Very good idea.
Yeah. So that's our bedroom. And then I carry on. This is our guest bedroom.
Lucky guests. That's not a box room, is it? With your computer in it. That's a proper guest room. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, sometimes our computer ends up there. I mean, but nevertheless, and our washing sometimes, but nevertheless, yeah.
But it's beautiful like that when you're receiving.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. And so that's our guest room, and also this room will have a window that goes into internal courtyard. I think I skipped too much. This is a kitchen. This is our kitchen, and there's this sort of I would just say this is an opening which allowed the stove originally to be going in. I don't know.
Most places have them.
And you also have a couple that it used to be an open space in the middle, which will extract either the smoke or the.
That looks like where a nook where the range would go originally, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of people had range at the time connected to gas.
Yes.
And now there's underneath, it's obviously been closed, and there's an extractor fan, and there's all new appliances, which comes with the property in case someone will wish to buy them. But the floor tiles are also hydraulic concrete tiles. So it's not a ceramic that is painted, it's all different concrete composed together. Yes.
Yeah.
And there's the fridge, there's undercount lighting, you can see the extractor hood here. The fridge is included in the sale. A little snapshots of
some nice detail there. Beautiful floor.
Yeah. And there's an under cabinet lighting with Mexican statue of sacrificial.
Yes, I guess that's optional, right? If you want to, the sacrificial statue.
Yeah, no, the sacrificial one comes with me. Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah. And once again, the kitchen is one of the spaces that open to a balcony. We're lucky enough to have a balcony.
This is the courtyard that you were talking about, and this is quite unusual, isn't it?
There's the balcony at the back. The courtyard will be on that side there.
Oh, really?
And it's within. Yeah, it's an open space or a closed space because it will have a glass roof above it. But it's like a void in the middle of the building where the elevator is, but the light will come into the light and air will come in. Yeah.
Yes, right. So you're away from the bustling, busy street. And you can have a quiet breakfast or sit out and have a glass. I think you see the sunset from this aspect, don't you? If I remember rightly, with your glass.
We do, definitely. And so this is the kitchen that you were seeing, and this is our dining room, which I don't know if it's the next slide. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So this is our dining room with two windows. We just changed recently those ones to open fully to allow more light to come in. And as you can see, there's the original wall molding from, I suppose, the end of the 30s, I would say.
Yeah.
Because it seems to be the ceiling has been restored, so I don't think that the ceiling molded that the original one at the time, but the wall one there you can see from
wonderful.
And that's the other view from there. And little details of the molding, as you can see. And then we have a studio because we work at times. We try to do it as not as hard as we used to, but we do it. And
just in case some work needs to be done, there is a space to do it.
There's a study,
and that was originally one of the bedrooms.
Yeah, there's one of the former bedrooms, which he allows a bed to go in, but we don't have. I mean, we use it as a study now, and
it looks great. Blessed by Frida as well.
Yes, she watched us, and then it was a great DNA exhibition. But and so
very nice. That is not a tiny box room study either, is it? That's a generously proportioned room.
No, that's a proper study. It wouldn't. It's already challenging to work at home, I think, and compromising spaces to go very small. I think it could be quite challenging.
I think all those are the same size actually. So I think, if I remember right, this is the same size, if not just slightly smaller than that guest bedroom. So that gives you an idea.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we have, as you can see, there's no wardrobes in the bedroom, even if it fits, because this room is the one that we use as a wardrobe. So there's a full built-in wardrobe solution in this room.
Okay.
This is the main bathroom.
Right.
The one that had the bathtub, it doesn't have anymore. So all the tiling is new, and all the design of the bathroom are new. And there's a quite large shower and that kind of stuff. And this is our guest bathroom. Sorry, we have 2 bathrooms, one smaller, one larger, and this is the one that the guests use. And
very nice indeed. Great question, Pete. We'll come back to that. We'll have a bit of a Q&A after we've had a look around and asked a few more questions.
This is the QR code. There's a few other photographs, and there's an idealista listing to see the apartment itself, if you wish to do so. And
very good.
that's where we are.
That's excellent. That's excellent.
Yeah.
We'll come back to the HOA, the Homeowners Association question a little bit later, because I'm sure that has been something you've got used to and negotiated and navigated. The Idealista listing is being posted now into the chat as well. How has this been then for you, this process? 6 years ago, the 6 cardboard boxes, the moves from Airbnb to Airbnb, and ultimately, you know, bringing us right up to date. Here you are, having discovered this area, created this beautiful space that you're living in, and you have the scars in many ways to prove it, I suspect, as well. It's been quite a learning curve, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yes, big time.
Right.
And also I think that's why, because we changed a lot in the journey. We're still the same people, always change a lot in the journey. Yeah. So I think that's why we decided that it's time for us to sell this very large apartment, because
I think we came probably the other part of obviously finding the apartment was somewhere that would fit what we had in London, and we had quite a big apartment in London, and we didn't know what we were going to be doing here. Job wise, I knew I'd got my job from London still, and I would be able to carry on some of that remotely for a long period of time. And I used to do support work, so I had to have an office at home. I couldn't go and work off somewhere else, kind of thing. So I was always restricted from that point of view. And yeah, we kind of sized that, I think, in our life around probably where we were. And then I guess over the last year or so, a lot of stuff has changed. And so we've kind of changed as well. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's probably what came us, you know, we always thought that we would probably move at some point. I don't think we ever thought this was going to be the final apartment and that would be it, you know, we'd never move again. It's probably sooner than we originally thought, I guess. But I think now we're kind of looking at it and we're thinking, perhaps we wouldn't mind a new challenge, something else to do. Maybe, you know, we could fit in somewhere smaller. Maybe even after we sell this place, we will stay somewhere else for a while, because we had a second apartment we were renting out, and now we can actually stay in that one at the moment. And we might refurbish something here, you know, because we did a refurb job in our last apartment in London, and the apartment before, in fact. So maybe it's time as well to challenge ourselves and do things. And we've learned a lot of that stuff along the way. And for a while we weren't really sure where we were going to live, but it's strange.
And we still kind of
don't
know. But I guess it's part of
the sense of adventure.
It will still be Lisbon, but I guess there's a little bit of me that's still pointing us back to the fact that we're not going to end up a million miles away from where we are now. It's probably going to be somewhere around here, but just something different. You know,
for example, you see the study space. We rather park our laptop, go to the public library. We go spectacular public library here, which are very silent and are tiled with incredible azulejos by Campo Pequeno. We can be there, we can sit there, we can work there, or we can work somewhere else outside of here. We don't want to get that the place will dictate what we do, because we have a study here, which we have done, and it's a mistake that we have done. And we now just realize that we don't want to go to the stages. Therefore, we avoid to have that room altogether. And it's time for someone else that need all this space to get this apartment. It's time for us to rethink, restructure, move, and do our thing.
It's funny, isn't it? Because you could think to yourself, okay, this is a dream home, which it clearly is, and you could stay there, and all the work you've done to make it so. And it seems that all the work you've done and all that you've been through and the experiences you've had have changed you as people as well. And now the course is reset. You know, the adventure that brought you to this point is now giving way to a different adventure that's going to take you somewhere else because of the people you've picked up in the process.
Exactly.
And it is big. It is big.
Property in London.
And also, the same story of our property in London. The same. We always move somewhere, developed a place, made into something that was then something that we grew out of.
Yes,
we're ready
that's right. That's right. And I guess there are parts of the journey where you're thinking that after all we've been through, there is no way we're moving from here.
Yeah,
That
because
kind of
we are very attached to our journey.
Yes.
But we reluctantly attach to things or to
Very
places.
interesting. Very interesting. Yep. Okay. So for those who are looking at the place and thinking, I can't understand why you would want to move from there. I get that now. I get that the adventure continues, and also as part of that, the things that you were challenged by may not be challenges for other people because you've been there, done that, and you've made it easier for the people who are coming in, following in your footsteps, as it were.
Exactly.
And it's a huge place, isn't it? We get a sense of that. You've made it work for you as a couple. And it could accommodate a few more people there, couldn't it, if used in a slightly different way?
Yes. Well, our neighbors downstairs, for example, there are 3 kids. There are 3 kids and a couple.
So it's a family. It could be a family apartment.
Family home, So you can have
In fact, there was 3 kids left here actually with the people before us. They were just about to be 3 kids, but they moved out just because they came from Coimbra and they wanted to go back. Their grandparents got a new job, like looking after kids.
Yes, amazing. So we've got some questions, and we will let's cover those now, and then come back to you and find out more about this adventure and maybe some idea of where you might be headed. Ubi's saying, ain't that where El Corte Inglés, Ed's Park, Pombal Circle, Gulbenkian's Fancy, and Saldania's Circle is? I mean, you're within walking distance of all those things, aren't you?
Gulbenkian is a garden that we walk through quite a lot.
Saldania Circle is probably the closest, so we can probably be there in 15-20 minutes walk, I guess.
So I think all this kind of Parque Eduardo VII, Marquês de Pombal, I will say is all within a range of 15 to 20 minutes walk.
And they're all superb places that are mentioned there. Love Saldania and walking down the Avenida de República, which I think
Gulbenkian is going to an incredible refurb now. It's gonna be completely changed and gonna be even bigger. It's opening next week. We can't wait.
Right, very good. Arroyos says Bruno is known a lot for the Alameda and Fonte Luminosa, which I think this was a grandiose celebration of the fact that we could get water for the city. It serves as a mirador and focus for Alameda, as Alameda can feel overwhelming to live in. Moraes Suarez is much more cozy to live in, even being one of the principal streets in Arroyos. The building also has a life of its own, as this was projected to be more than the average, even in the street. You really have both feelings there. Yes.
Thanks, Bruno.
Cozy, the luxury. And I'm guessing that possibly the sort of person that lived there, one of the rooms was for the live-in help, I think, who would have...
I think originally,
that often happens in those upmarket apartments in Lisbon, doesn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't have the double entrance,
which I think it may have done before.
They might have done before.
The trade. So there was a trade entrance and the your VIP.
The one that people that work for people, but you don't want to see. That's atrocious, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? How dare you come to?
I can hear you.
Yes. Keep it down. Nice crib. Yes, wouldn't have thought of giving that nice crib from Ubi there. And this matter then of housing homeowners associations, and I think Nubianet is making the point that it can be quite expensive in the United States, but that does mean that people are a little bit more forthcoming when work needs doing. And I think there is a little bit of a concern when you're buying in Portugal that how homeowner associations might work differently, how the tenants association
condominium.
Condominium, that's what it's called. How has that been? Condom for sure. How's your experience been for that?
It actually works very well, and I think it's so. For many years, some of them fell into what they called organized condominiums, which actually meant there was a proper kind of structure. There were always supposed to be proper structure minutes, but often it was done by an external third party. This has been the same thing. There is one external third party that helps out on this, but also most of the people who are here live here. So actually, it's not but they actually physically live in the building, so they haven't just bought the building and then disappeared and rented it out to somebody.
So they are experiencing their decisions rather than wanting to keep costs down.
Correct. And we have a very good as a mere minimum once a year, we have a good meeting where we discuss everything. We discuss the accounts. We go through all the different things that have to be done. We've also got, all the works that have been scheduled, because although the building was redone in 2010, they actually repainted the entire fascias of this building 2 years ago. So that was all organised. And we're about to get the insides done as well. The external,
it is due to be done this
it's due
year.
to be done. So all of those kind of things.
Yeah. So as a suggestion for people to buy an apartment anyway, to check that if you don't go into buy into something and then they're about to face a 20,000.
Right, absolutely.
But this has already been done, and it's a quite proactive condominium. And the condominium we pay €52 per month, which include the maintenance of the elevator, the lady that cleaned, or the gentleman sometimes actually. One lady. Anyway, yeah, the common parts. Yeah.
Yes, very good. Okay, so somebody coming into this can know that they have a professional and cooperative condominium association, and that they come in at quite a good time when a lot of the work has been done that big buildings are subject to, and a recent refurbishment and painting and so on, and a sign off for further work to go ahead in an agreeable way by the sound of it from your association. Okay, well, that's good to know. Next question.
Amenities as well. So every year you can get the minute, every year you can get exactly a copy of everything everybody's been discussing, so you can find out what went on last year, the year before.
Oh, as a potential buyer, you could have access to all of that. Very good. Okay. Is there a bar and restaurant where you can socialize and have fun without going to the big city center? Is it a kid-friendly neighborhood as well? So what would you say about that for Alessia? Good evening to you, Alessia. Thanks for being
here. Quite a lot, actually. There's a very thriving new scene in terms of bars and restaurants, especially around the market, which is around the corner here.
Well, we arrived 6 years ago, actually. I think the market had probably owned 2 restaurants, and now most of the market around the outside is all restaurants. And there's a lot being done around it, but I would say that if you want to walk within 10-15 minutes of here, you will pretty much find everything from, quite traditional, very traditional, smaller Portuguese, right the way
to
the way through the range, to Chinese, to Indian, to Asian, to different Asian cuisines, to pizzas, you name it, you will find it.
So it's quite vast. And it's quite international, and it's also quite good new independent initiatives. We don't have any chain around. We don't have any Starbucks. We don't have any.
So yes,
and the kid-friendly neighborhood. There's quite a lot of green spaces around, especially on the Alameda. There's a lot of international schools around here. So.
Portugal is a kid-friendly neighborhood, I think. You don't have to. There's always a kids' playground, isn't there, somewhere nearby, and it's a very child-oriented, friendly country as well, with the grandmas just squeezing the cheeks of the kids and patting them on the head and saying "Linda, Linda." It's really, really friendly in that way. I don't know where it is you're from, but it sounds like that would tick your boxes there on those questions. And if you stick around to see the outro video, we've got a little one of Fabrizio's more recent productions. Bit of a tap hand.
I didn't make it for the festival, Venice Festival, but next year.
Okay, there's always next year. We've got a little video that showcases the atmosphere and the vibe really in the neighborhood as well. So you'll get to see that. €50 or thereabouts compares quite favorably then to 15 years ago when it was $300 a month in association fees for moving in on a small apartment. So that's good to know as well. And you mentioned you're near Arroios metro station. I was really impressed when we talked previously on the morning show about how you're not that far away from a Fartagos railway station, the Comboios railway, not the metro, but the overground, which will take you out and over the 25 de Abril bridge from Roma Aveiro, is it?
And it will take you all the way down to Setúbal, and the journey is an hour.
And it's so wonderful.
15 minutes, something
over that bridge, past the Cristo Rey, and you in that hour or 15 minutes, you get this great sense, don't you, of being in the buzzing metropolis, and it opens out as you go over the river and you're onto Almada, and you start to see a different. You're not far away from the capital.
Well. Actually, that's one of those moments. I don't want to sound too over romantic or something like that, but there's few moments either going or coming back from somewhere that we go.
Yes.
On that point that we pass through the bridge, is that moment that you say, I'm in a good place, and
I
the
think
place itself, and the place here, and the place in general, an overview. Yeah, so that's a quite rewarding little piece of journey.
it's lovely looking up and down the Tasia from that bridge. It's very, very special, and it changes throughout the day, of course, as the light strikes it in a different way. Excellent. Right, Nubionet. The way I compare US and Portuguese condo HOAs is in the US, you'll never get what you're paying for with your fees. In Portugal, you'll always get way more than you pay in fees. And yes,
this is a fair observation.
Yeah, it works. This works at many levels. And Pete, we're looking at buying an apartment in London this year, and the fees are about the same, but the rental is just that much higher than Lisbon. Interesting, Pete. Thank you very much, Solar Life Portugal. So we're 50 minutes in. That's flown by. It's been lovely talking to you. It's been lovely to hear about the story, the adventure for you. And can you give us any tips where the adventure, the next steps, where the compass is pointed possibly for you?
If we only knew.
Oh, okay. There's no idea.
We tell you a bit of an outline. We have an apartment now in Setúbal, which we seems to spend a lot of time in. So for the first time in our life, we're not gonna sell up the place where we're living, which is acceptable and livable, and move in a building site like we've done all the time. Sleeping on the floor while they were taking tiles off in the back. So we're now going to live somewhere, figuring out what we're doing next. So that's the first time in our life, and we've done this over.
Next time or the third time actually done.
The third time that we moved.
Have you grown up?
I'm reluctantly thinking that I might one day do so.
Right. Okay, but let's not get carried away.
Not there yet.
Okay, all right. But there are signs.
With any more dust, I'm way past my limit.
It's the lungs.
Right. Okay. So it's different this time. Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. So you know how you're going to do it, but we're not entirely clear yet where that's. And I guess if you're going to replicate your approach and method from before, it's a little bit of a detective job, isn't it? You're going to be following your nose around and seeing, and it will emerge to you. It'll show itself.
Yeah, because it always does. In a way or another.
We kind of are sort of, we kind of are now thinking about it and sort of visiting a lot more places. We're probably now the autumn's here, it's a bit more walkable because it's not too hot. We will visit a lot more places, I think, and have a wander around. But I am
once again
to wonder if it's not going to be too far away from
It's not going to be that far from here. We are very attached to our dynamics in here and the nature of the place.
And your love for Lisbon has not changed, basically.
No. And with this challenge that we're just giving ourselves now, this sort of opening to other options, actually we liking it even more because we don't feel that we sat somewhere and looking at the parrots in the cage and writing poems of life of retirement, but we're just doing it. We're just making it happen. So I think it's cool.
And there's a bit of dynamic about this area that we got quite like. Interestingly, going back to the question that came earlier on, one thing I have to say, quite a few of our Portuguese friends who now know us here, who don't live in this area, have actually now, when they come to visit us, and they're quite surprised, and they keep every time we go, we say, "Oh, can't we come to your area because there were some really nice restaurants or stuff around there." So it's it is that thing that even other people are starting to realise that this has come back on the scene. Stuff that wasn't there a few years back now is here. So
and sometimes it takes a foreigner to see that, doesn't it?
Yeah, because you don't have a baggage or a cliche behind.
That's right. The old south of the river stuff.
Fall in love like a teenager.
Yep, it didn't stop you south of the river in London, and it's not stopped you here. South London, right? Yes. As a West Londoner, I can't possibly get my head around that. But anyway, there you go. It's been fascinating talking to you. So 6 years ago, almost to the day, there you are with your 6 cardboard boxes in an Airbnb, and it's like I think the scenario you described was, this could be the most amazing thing we've ever done, but then again, what on earth have we done?
What on earth happened?
But it turned out fine.
It has.
But we had that moment. And also, I would like to add to the story that when we moved here and start to look and see this place, and then we didn't commit yet to that. Our sale in London still had to go through. So we would arrive and the chapter was open and we were facing the reality of the chain falling through.
Oh my goodness.
And then going back to packed boxes at home and open everything. And that would have been crippling.
Yes.
So just 1 month later, we had to move back for 2 days, get the last bit of stuff out, and then come back.
That's why we thought, what we do? Is this the craziest thing that can come to your mind, or is the best idea you could possibly have? And you know what? I don't know if it's the best idea, but it's certainly been a quite rewarding one.
And the light of Lisbon, you know, is a city of light, isn't it? And the light of Lisbon drew you unto it and has been a blessing for you by the sound of it, the way things have turned out. So wishing you all, well, loving the journey so far, wishing you the best of luck in the onward journey. And we'll be tracking that as on your appearances on the Good Morning Portugal show, which is always a lot of fun. Catch Fabrizio and Ian on the morning show when we're in the capital, and we pop down to see Ali in the Algarve as well. So I think we should just roll VT and run your video of life in the neighbourhood.
Yes.
And I thank you very much for being here, Ian and Fabrizio, as you are on the
screen. We thank you for having us, and for anybody that
turned up. Thanks very much for watching.
Yes, absolutely. To all those folks who were with us and chatting and telling us about their lives as well. Thank you very much for being here. So see you again soon. All the best. Bonne nuit. Ian and Fabrizio, ciao, and everybody else.